Hey everyone, I'm Ellie and this is my modern mantra. I have something super exciting to share with you today. It's an experience that I had recently doing something called conscious connected breathing. I'm going to explain a little bit about what it is to my knowledge and tell you a bit about what people tend to experience, as well as what I personally experienced at my most recent workshop. If you've ever done something like this before, please comment down below. I'd love to hear some more perspectives on this topic. So I've done this twice now. I did one about a year ago in July of 2017, and that was the first time that I had ever been introduced to anything along those lines. So I went in blind. I didn't know much about breath work, despite the fact that I've done some yoga for a few years at that point, but this was totally new to me. My boyfriend actually recommended that I go. He had been to a few himself and knew a few people who were involved with putting it on. I had an amazing experience, but the way I describe it is that it ripped me open at the seams. For those of you who have never heard of conscious connected breathing, or it may go under some different names, I've heard it called psychedelic breathing or psychedelic soul breathing, whatever it is that you've heard it be called before, let me just explain to you a little bit about what it is, at least to my knowledge. I'm no expert here. So the workshops I've been to are about 2 to 3 hours long, and the breath work itself is about an hour or a little over an hour. So in my experience, you attend a workshop and it's a facilitated experience. So while there is a lot of breath work techniques that you can practice at home, in this case it's very much something that is facilitated with a leader and some assistance to guide you through your journey. Okay, so what is it though? Like, what are we doing at the workshop? What you do is a breathing exercise continuously with no stopping, no pauses, that ultimately takes you into a heightened sense of awareness. It's almost a psychedelic experience too, but it's totally organic, totally natural. There's nothing involved except the breath, no drugs, nothing like that. So essentially, lying on your back, you breathe in through the mouth and out through the mouth. So an inhale and an exhale all through the mouth in my experience. And all of this takes you into a state that is a little hard to explain. It's almost like out of body, or perhaps it's not, perhaps it's very much in body. It's like your body starts to take over in a way. So a few things that people experience. Didn't necessarily experience all these things, but this is what I've been told is a natural occurrence based on this breathing technique. So what it does, in my knowledge, is taps into energy that is trapped within the body from either emotional or even physical trauma. If you're willing to let go during the experience, you are literally able to release some of that pent-up trauma in your body. And so the way it was described to me is that those experiences in your past, those traumas, those, things that stuck with you that you never fully addressed, they can manifest themselves in physical pain and perhaps not something that you feel in a day-to-day. But in doing this breathing exercise, you might feel, for example, some immense pain in your wrist, or some tingling in your knees. There are a lot of different places where you can feel those sensations. Another thing that some people experience, and that I also did, is movement. So a lot of organic movement. I was touching my face a little bit. Some people just raise their hands, maybe clench their fists and release. And then a lot of people also make sounds. Some people cry during the experience if they're experiencing some really immense trauma or even relief during it. Some people will just kind of wail out. That all sounds very bizarre, and I understand how strange that sounds. But it's a beautiful just time to exude all of this emotion from your body. It's a release, a huge release. So I think the first time around I didn't move hardly at all. I was kind of stiff, and maybe it was because I was a bit uncomfortable and my body was rejecting the experience. This time around I did move because I felt so much more fluid and comfortable with the experience I was having. So before I go any further, I want to show you a clip of a video I actually recorded about 30 minutes after I got home from the workshop. I recorded it because I knew that me talking about my experience in that moment would be way more connected to the experience just, less than an hour after it finished. So I want to show you that. Check it out. So it's been less than an hour since I got home from conscious connected breathing. It's a breathwork workshop, and I wanted to talk about my experience My cat's like meowing like, we've been gone so long. Hey, baby. I can't even, it's really hard to put into words. Oh, God. In the past year, a lot has changed. A lot has changed for me. Mostly spiritually. Life circumstance too, actually. But spiritually, a lot. And little did I know last time would really just break me open and put me on a path to a lot of that change. I felt joyous and grateful, deeply, deeply grateful, out of body. I mean, I felt like my body wanted to lift up off of the floor. I was so joyful in some moments. I was dancing. Like I was physically like just feeling a groove and just feeling this beautiful harmony and beat in my own body. I don't even know how to explain that. At certain points, like I could just really feel the vibration of the music in my body. And when I would think of something that was, worldly, like, or just negative, like comparing myself to someone or someone that I know in real life whom I have a resentment toward or something along those lines, and, some issues in my life, I would physically like convulse, like shake my head, like get that out of my head. I mean, it's involuntary. I was fearful at first, but I felt fearless. I let go of so much stuff that I had been holding on to even lately. But most of it was for me was just like a joyous, almost like a celebration of what I've become and who I've become over the past year. Because I felt so immensely grateful. Moments where I felt that I was tearing up. Moments that I just screamed. I just like wailing, like not screaming, crying, like just letting out just emotional like wailing. It's hard to explain. When you get into that state, your body just reacts, and it feels so good to release the stuff you've held in. So a lot of that, and at the end I felt so at peace. I felt so connected with the people in that room too, almost even more so than last time, just because I was more connected with myself. When I was starting to move around a lot during the process, in that state, it's like I was feeling like the blanket that I was laying on or underneath, and like I just felt it so intensely. Like my hands were like tingling, like the blanket was like tingling, like, oh my gosh, it was so weird. I'm feeling tired. It was like a physical, emotional, spiritual experience in the best way possible, but I feel drained. If I've become closer to God in the past year, I've become closer to God in the past 2 hours because I've never felt that intensely connected to a higher power or my higher self ever like that. Wow, it's so crazy watching that again because it kind of takes me back even more. I can reflect on it now and here, but when I watch myself talk about it, it kind of blows my mind. It like takes me back into those same feelings. It may sound a little strange or off-putting, but for me, I felt really safe. I had a really confident leader and some guides to facilitate my journey and make sure that I was comfortable throughout the whole process. And I never felt scared or uncomfortable at all. So there you have it. It's a lot to take in if you've never heard of it before, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Like I said, I'm no expert. I've done 2 of these workshops now, but there are plenty of people who know way more than me about this topic. So I do encourage you to do some research if you're interested in trying something like this. Find out if there are any groups in your area who offer workshops along these lines, or maybe just do some research on what the experience entails for some other people to find out if it's something that you would like to do. Feel free to leave comments down below. I'm happy to answer any questions about my personal experience or the group that facilitated my workshop, just let me know what you're interested in. Thanks so much for being here. If you're interested in seeing more content like this from me, please subscribe and turn on your alerts. I am so happy to have you here, and I look forward to the next time. Thanks so much.